One, two, one, two, three, four.
Here is Ethan Harty with another blacksmithing video. This video is going to be about forging a hammer I punch under my little giant trip hammer. It's not a tutorial, it's just simply my learning experience going along with it, proving that you can do it under a 25-pound little giant trip hammer. You can make top tools and things. So again, as I said, this is my first try. So to start off, we're gonna select a piece of steel. Ideally, that is about an 1.25" diameter round and 2 3/4 inches long. Upset it slightly and then forge a square billet, or I should say a high rectangular billet, as you can see I'm doing right now. Make sure that it's a kind of a nice rectangle. The reason you want it high is because when you punch it, it'll tend to squish down, and it'll also make the side spread out more after you punch it, make it easier to spread the cheeks. So there's the billet. Now we're going to mark out the center. I'm using a combo square and a scribe, and I'm marking both lines on each side, and this should give me an exact, or pretty close to exact center. Then I'm going to get a square center punch. I want to use a square center punch because it doesn't tend to fill up the scale as easily, so then when you take it out of the fire and it's at a glowing yellow heat, you'll be able to see your punch. Here is the hammer I punch that I'm going to use under the power hammer. It's similar to Brian Brazil, but not quite as perfect. So you can see here I'm starting the punching, hitting a little bit lighter, and then going on. I was having some trouble with the punch sticking, so you might see that in the video. And I also have some parts of this sped up because it gets pretty long. It took me 2 heats to punch through the billet. I probably could have done it in one. With a striker I can do it in one, but I was having trouble controlling the billet, as you can see in the video. One of the mistakes that I now see that I did is I kept the punch in the hole for a little bit too long, and it kind of upset in there, so I had some trouble getting it out, but overall it went pretty good. Better than I was expecting. So here we're gonna punch the plug. And there, it fell out on the floor, but there's the punched hole. A little bit off center. You can see I tried to, yeah. It's the first time, so I was pretty happy with it, and as you see later in the video, that kind of corrects itself. But overall, it's pretty good. There's my hairy head and plug. So from here on in, it's really pretty simple. I just drifted, as you can see here, and then I used the flat eyes of the power hammer to draw out the cheeks. You can see I worked from the back side and then fed in. This allowed me to spread the cheeks. It actually worked surprisingly well. So I couldn't quite move the camera every time, so I'm just showing the different heats. What I'm doing here. One thing you have to know about a top tool, unlike a hammer where you have an hourglass shaped eye, is that you want a continuous taper down throughout the whole eye, so that the handle contacts on all points, and so it's easily removable because there's no edges. So just keep that in mind. You want to drift one way one heat, and then the rest of the heats you want to drift the other way, so you get one continuous taper from the drift. So here's one of those points where I kind of made a mistake. You can see I went a little bit too far here. I'm isolating the, I don't know what to call it now, the faces or whatever of the tool, and I kind of squished the eye, so I obviously had to re-drift that a little bit. But I'm just setting down shoulders. Right now I'm forging a striking end, and so you forge it square, and then you forge the diagonals onto it. The other side I had already done. That's going to be where the actual punch is forged, which is what's going on right now. You can see I'm tapering the punch end of the drift first square, and then taking the diagonals off. Try to get this as smooth as you can with flat dies. It'd be better with curved dies, and ideally with the striker you use a big fuller, like a 3-inch fuller, to do this. And I'm showing it to you as I'm looking for my power hammer flatter. I don't have the world's best power hammer flatter, but it certainly does the job. There it is. So you can see I'm flatten all the flat faces, and then I'll go to the diagonals. One of the advantages of a little giant chirp hammer versus like a big nasal air hammer or something like that is that you can hit, is the fact that you can hit fast and light, which as you can see here is very handy for planishing. You can see that I can turn it very slowly, and that'll hit very fast, and it'll make it nice and round and reasonably smooth. Again, this is the first time, so it wasn't the complete best, but it did pretty good. So now obviously we want to cut the tip off, number one because it's slightly too long, and also because, as you'll see later, it's going to start the profile for the V tip. And as you may see in the second part of the series, when I'll show the grinding of it, you'll see how that comes in handy. I'm using the round die in a Brian Brazil style hot cut Harty. One of the things that makes me cringe here is the fact that I cut it all nice, it was perfect, and then I hit a little bit, I got a little bit too impatient, and I hit it too hard, and I hit it, broke it off a little bit before I wanted it to. I didn't mar my hammer or my hot cut, but not good practice. Don't do that. Part of the operation here is to create the capsule pill shape of the hammer I punch. So I'm just using the flatter. Make sure the tip is not too hot, because obviously since it's smaller it'll deform faster than the rest and get an uneven shape. Start slow, make sure it's square to the rest of the body, otherwise it'll be slightly harder to use. Okay, and right there you should be able to see the taper that goes down the eye. So just planish it. You want to make this nice and smooth. Remember, this is going to be punching your hammer eyes, so if there's any obstructions, you want to be wire brushing it. You know, if any obstructions or dents or anything, that's going to slow the punch down, and you have to be able to hit it a lot harder to punch the steel. You should also be seeing how the hot cut Harty has made the nice V tip on the end of the punch. Okay, so right now I'm just straightening the punch. It got slightly cockeyed, and so I'm just using two old hump tools and a top swedge, however you want to say it, and I'm just straightening it. Now we're on to wire brushing. Obviously you want to be wire brushing it while you're forging so it stays clean, but give it a good wire brush, make it shine. I'm using a butcher's block brush with very stiff bristles. It works really good on hot metal. It'll throw sparks off of cold metal too. It's very stiff, and it makes it nice and clean and ready for putting your vanity stamp on it, or touch mark. So I have a rag soaked in oil, and I'm just rubbing the punch down while it's still hot. Gives it a black finish and prevents it from rusting. So there is the finished hammer eye punch. Thank you for watching. Check out www.ethanhardyblacksmith.com for more info. See you later.